Hello.
Hello.
Oh,
How
great.
are
I
you?
see you. Hi.
Good to see you too.
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm sorry I'm a little slow getting started this morning.
No, no, no. Everything is okay. So,
Good.
I start.
Yep, go for it.
Yeah. So I'm just find my questions.
Okay.
Questions. Yeah.
I'll try to
Here
find
there.
the answers too.
Uh, these classified documents, which were found in two different places, um, in th- in general, in theory, what could Biden face for this?
Well, so let's be clear of the facts, first of all. The documents that we're talking about are documents that Biden removed from wherever they keep the secrets while he was vice president. This is before Trump was elected. And the problem for Biden on this, which is distinct from the accusations against President Trump or ex President Trump, the vice president does not have the authority to declassify documents legally. So, and Donald Trump was president when he removed the documents. He had full authority to declassify anything he liked without, there's a procedure that the Congress has imposed on this by legislation that has to be approved by some other committee. But any constitutional lawyer worth their muster knows that there's no way Congress is separation of powers between the president and Congress, and secrets, military, all of that stuff is entirely within the purview of the president of the executive branch. The only thing that the legislature has with respect to that is the funding of it. So Trump had absolute authority to, uh, declassify whatever documents he took, and he said he did do that. Um, Biden, and then the response to that and the attack on Trump included basically a claim that we're not going to take just your word that you declassified them when you responded. We want to see some contemporaneous evidence that you did it. A memo dated, while you were still president, that we can check the ink on it and make sure it's really that old and all of that. Biden now finds himself trapped in that because if he's, first of all, the vice president has no authority. The only one who could have done that would be Obama. First of all, we have to consider, does Obama want to bail him out? Or is the rumor of Michelle Obama being interested in running next year, viable? And is he behind that or whatever? There's a whole political nonsense that goes with that. But more importantly, unless there is a memo that was actually written back then designating these things, as safe for him to take home or whatever, he's screwed by the rules they've been imposing on Trump.
So, Republicans said that he should go even to jail 10 years, so on and so forth. So, is it right?
I'm sorry, say that
No,
again.
it's okay. Okay.
The question again.
Yeah. So the Republicans said earlier that they should start the investigation, that it should be even 10 years in jail or so on. So if Biden would be the real person, he should go to jail?
Well, the president can't go to jail. They first have to impeach him. And then, but there's the question of, in terms of what was done, the original offense would have been when he removed the documents. That either happened when he was vice president or it happened after he was vice president and had no standing to do that whatsoever. So clearly, if there's a violation there, it's a criminal violation. It is grounds for impeachment. The political reality and the legal reality is that to remove him, to impeach him and then remove him from office, which is the only place you could have the liability, would require first, something to pass the House of Representatives, which is close enough to being evenly divided that a lot of brokering can go on, and he might benefit from that. In any event, once it gets through the House, if the House approves it, you don't have to go to the Senate, and the Republicans do not control the Senate. And if memory serves, you need a 2/3 majority in the Senate to remove. So that's almost impossible to imagine that happening. However, again, this takes place against the backdrop of going into a presidential election year. Any objective observer, I'm not necessarily including whoever it is that actually put Biden up for president and runs him now. But any objective observer understands he's going to have a really hard time winning an election when he barely knows whether he's wearing pants or not without looking. And then when he looks up, he has to look down again because he forgets. He can't even read off a teleprompter now, and so it's a pretty pathetic thing. They did manage to get him elected pretty much in that condition last time, so it's possible. But I'm assuming that there are factions among those who make these decisions behind the scenes that are not all on board with that. And of course, I'm certain there are actual, players in terms of the politicians, Hillary Clinton types who have their own ambitions that are going to sort of take advantage of this opportunity here. So, and then looking at it from the point of view of the Republicans, remember that it didn't work out well for them, but Clinton was one of the primary pushers of Trump on the assumption that he'd be the easiest one to beat. Some Republican candidates, I'm assuming Trump falls in this category also, looks at Biden and says, this is a cakewalk running against this guy. We're going to help engineer his nomination. And so maybe the Republicans will lay off of Biden until after he secures the nomination and then go after him. Or maybe in the event he wins, go ahead and let him win and then take him down, because they can take him down. So, the stage is set for an awful lot of palace intrigue, basically.
And all these stories with those documents was happened 2 months ago when there was an election. So why and who decided to release this information right now?
I don't know how it came out now. I do know it should have come out before the election. And quite frankly, let's be clear about this. What we're talking about is he removed the documents sometime prior to January 20th, 2017. That's 6 years ago now. And so that now finally somebody talks about it in law enforcement in November 4th, I think, is the date that they're using to say that. The FBI knows, the CIA knows, half the people that worked around Biden know. Whoever carried that stuff and stuck it in the back of his Corvette knows. And I'm sure the cleaning lady knows. And it sounds like maybe the Chinese embassy knows or whatever, because there's also the matter of him paying $900,000. No, the university paying Biden, the University of Pennsylvania, paying Biden $900,000 for some documents that are in a repository at the university in the Biden Memorial something or other, that sort of opened up the floodgate for tens of millions of dollars from China to the University of Pennsylvania. In other words, priming the pump by paying off Biden and then accepting a great deal of money from China and holding top secret documents. Certainly, and I have no bone to pick with China. They're a player in the world like everybody else. They don't do anything like the United States does. They don't go blow people up or any of that stuff. But it's reasonable to expect that in defense of their own country, they would want to get their hands on top secret stuff if they saw a dum dum on top of the pinnacle over here, with some to sell or whatever. So, if this were Trump and this were Russia, somebody'd be on their way to Sing Sing to the electric chair that they fried the Rosenbergs in.
And if this information was released 2 months ago before the election, maybe the Democrats don't win the Senate, so everything could be different.
This is just one of a number of things where you could see that the thumbs of the intelligence agencies are on the scales. The elections are, 50.0001% to 49.999% balance between Republicans and Democrats. Certainly, the disclosure that this bad, terrible thing that Trump did that they were pounding in the press for months before the election, obviously intended to influence the election, probably did. Suddenly saying, well, actually, Biden did something too. They're minimizing it here. They use adjectives now in headlines even that are, so they basically bias the whole thing. Biden had a few documents. Trump had a massive trove of documents. They don't quantify it. They don't say, Biden, they do. He had 12. No, it's 13. And, Trump, you imagine that there's like dump trucks full of documents outside his house. But the reality is, in terms of criminal liability, in terms of, breaking the law, Trump had the absolute right to declassify those documents and says he did. And he really isn't obligated to prove it. It's a, per se fact that he did. I'm the president. I said so. This is the one case where that's absolutely true. Biden absolutely did not have the authority to do it until January 20th, 2021. And they were molding in his garage by then. That's how long they had been out. And there was no one making a claim that the authority was granted by President Obama. And we're going to see that once they start weaseling some language out that intimates that, nobody's going to produce absolute evidence that you can examine in a forensic laboratory that he did, in fact, grant that authority. And, once they decide to change the standard to let Biden off the hook, if that's what the palace intrigue produces as an outcome, well, then the case collapses against Trump.
So do you think there could be any consequences to Biden or Democratic Party?
Any conspiracy?
Yeah, any consequences?
Oh, consequences.
Yeah, consequences. Yeah.
Well, all right. It remains to be seen what the political calculus is going to be next year. We are going to begin later this year, really, the presidential election for next year in earnest. I'm going to assume, absent some catastrophe, in their terms, that it's good. We're going to go into the year again with very well balanced. As a matter of fact, I saw it go by today. I haven't examined it yet, but somebody claimed that for the first time in a few decades, nationally, the enrollment of voters in the United States is now majority Republican rather than Democrat. It's been seesaw, very close for a long time. So, in a condition where things are that close and, and where it's somewhat volatile, who knows what the impact is going to be of these different things. Again, to me, I think what we're seeing is sort of the context of being set up for some deep palace intrigue and maybe a political battle between you have, of course, whoever Biden represents, whatever political configuration has him out as their face, as their puppet, um, and however they envision his utility going forward as he physically deteriorates into jello, basically. You have others that are competing for that. Gavin Newsom is one of them that they name. I saw somebody mention Andy Cuomo today, like maybe he'll be rehabilitated. I don't know what. He did, after all, touch a police officer's stomach, according to her allegations. He should be banned from the universe for that, I guess. There's a half dozen other lessers, Pete Buttigieg or whomever else. What's her name in Georgia? That Stacey Abrams keeps losing elections. She's a perfect setup. Of course, Kamala Harris, who's the vice president. So each of those have some kind of game that they're working for next year, and this will give a weapon to those people. In addition to that, the Republicans are looking at this, both Trump and those who would depose him. You've got DeSantis and Rubio and Ted Cruz and some lessers. I don't think Lindsey Graham is that delusional, but perhaps they've got Biden as president, so Lindsey Graham he's a little smarter than that. Each of those might see some lever that they can pull in this. It's clear that Biden, A, is incompetent, and B, now most likely committed multiple felonies, and the world is aware of it. His fate is in the hands of the special prosecutor and the Justice Department, at least on the front line, and, of course, in the hands of whoever actually does the manipulation of all these things.
Yeah, and also the major event this, or no, I suppose earlier week. So Biden went to Mexico for the first time. So why did he decide to do that, and what is the result of this journey?
Well, he thought he was going to Cozumel, I think. Some of the people around him, if it were possible, are even more incompetent than he is personally. His press secretary is embarrassing to watch. I don't know how she plays in Russia. I know Jen Psaki was like one of the favorite comedians in Russia for a good long time. And I don't know if this one is as popular as a comedian. Maybe she doesn't translate as well. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is a press disaster. When you have a press event, I've done them. I remember like Ralph Nader ran for president in either 2000 or 2004. I live in Westchester County, New York, near a nuclear power plant, Indian Point. We were trying to close it at the time, and he was against nuclear power. So I set up a press conference with Indian Point in the background, and that had been right after an accident there. And, you do things so that people looking at this on television get messages. Well, I'm going to go down to the border, so let's do what we haven't done for 2 years so far, and clear out this little spot so it's not teeming with people climbing over the wall or whatever, and then roll the cameras. And then when people say, where are all the people that are usually climbing over the wall, not have an answer. I mean, it's a disaster. They manage every word he says. One of the most prestigious jobs for a typist in the whole world is to key into his teleprompter, I guess, right? And they manage everything, and he can't even do that. He bungles it all the time. He walks around with the Easter Bunny and follows instructions. There's like so many things. They call them gaffes when it's someone that does it once or twice or three times in a year. But it's just like a running, comedy show, a circus. So I don't know. I mean, this is another example of that. That obviously the policy that no one's really looking at the policy. Not the Republicans aren't either. In terms of the actual policy, the problem is the United States. I talk about the United States as if it's the whole country. It's not me. It's not 330 million of us, basically. It's the elite that has control of the U.S. military and the U.S. government, the Border Patrol, all these other things. They and the corporations that they serve, or the people that own the corporations that they serve, go around the world. They drop off in your country, point a gun at your head, say, go get your stuff and bring it to our boat. They don't even pave a road for you to carry it there. They just march you along at gunpoint. You drop your stuff off. On the way out, they drop a few bombs on your village. Some people, instead of staying there waiting for them to come back, leave, like millions of them. Let's say 13 million in Syria alone that are displaced. That's half the population because of the U.S. enterprise there. Congo since 1960. Latin America since 1820, whatever. These people are being driven from their homes by U.S. foreign policy. And so some people come here in the same way that if you walked into your house and saw some guy stealing your TV set and then ran down the street with it, you'd chase him because their stuff is here. There's no food in their country anymore because we stole it, in essence, okay? Whether we took the currency or whatever we did, in essence, we stole it. Here's the food. They're coming here for it. They're hungry. The policy is not, okay, fine, we're going to try to fix this by bringing people in. Instead, it weaponizes those people coming in. Suddenly, the workers who had unionized here and had decent jobs or whatever, now there's 3 people waiting for each job. Some of them are illegal, and so they'll take anything you pay them, and they can't do anything about it because they get deported. They traffic human beings, and there's a ton of money in that. They traffic drugs through these people, and there's a ton of money in that. I mean, this is it's class warfare in multiple dimensions, basically. No one discusses it in those terms, not even the so-called communist parties here. But that's the fact of it. And the solution is only there.
And could we say that all this migration crisis is the result of the Biden administration's work or policy?
Well, now, let's say, when Obama was president, you had all of a sudden massive migration from Honduras. Why? Because they backed a coup d'etat there in 2009. There was massive migration from Nicaragua back in the 80s and 90s. Why? Because of the Contra War. You have massive migration from Vietnam at the end of the Vietnam War. Gaddafi told you what was going to happen in Europe if they blew up Libya. As sure as hell, that's exactly what happened. It's not even rocket science. It's barely science. It causes an effect. Like, I'm going to do this, and that's going to be the inevitable result. And it is. And the people that are in a position to engineer, like the method of response, border control, who gets sent where once they're inside, who's allowed to work and who's not, all these things, they operate to the benefit of the elite. We end up with, like I said, I'm going to work, and there's somebody there who will do my job for half the money. They're desperate. And they're better off than they were, because at least nobody's blowing up their house now. And so the irony is, at the head end of it, they tax me to buy the bombs, to blow that guy up, to drive him here to take my job. And then we're at each other's throats instead of going after that guy. That's the problem.
I see. So, thank you so much. It, as usual, was very interesting and very nice to hear you.
It's good to see you, too. You look great, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Happy New Year and such.
Yeah, you too. You too.
Thank you very much.
Happy New Year, because today or even tomorrow it is New Year in old calendar style in Russia.
Yes. Yeah. Good. Very good.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
I hope it's very good for you this year, too.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Take care.